unbox this little short form video that I did on how powerful your mind is. So watch this really quick. It's only a little bit over a minute, and then I'll come back and I'll talk to you about it. I want to show you how powerful your mind is. Okay, stop. For most people watching me cut it, and especially biting into it, you'll get that the saliva. You'll kind of feel that in your mouth. And that lets you know how powerful your mind is based on what you see, which is why you want to be really careful about what you are absorbing and what you are like exposing yourself to, because your mind is very powerful. So your mind itself is smart, but it's really not that smart, because it's going to absorb whatever it is that you're feeding it. So the more you see from a positive, you're going to have more of the absorption of that. If you're looking at it from the negative, your brain's going to believe that. So yeah, I don't know if you did that, but I always do. All right. So as you can tell there, it's funny. So maybe you didn't salivate or anything like that, but a lot of people will, right? A lot of people, you can see somebody and you can almost like taste yourself biting into that lemon. You're almost like, ugh, right? You're almost like, oh, I can feel it. Okay. But it was me, and I'm on the other end of a phone or a camera, and you don't know where I am in the world, right? And so, but your mind could see that. So as I was saying in that video, your mind is so powerful, but your brain is not as smart, like your mind is not as smart as you think it is, because it just believes whatever you feed it. So it's great. We need it. We love our mind. Minds are smart. Minds are great. But it's going to absorb what you feed it and what you absorb with it. And so you've heard me talk about this a lot, because I don't scroll socials. Like, I mean, I have like 5 to 7 minutes that I'll scroll endlessly, like not endlessly, like mindlessly, like, oh, okay. I have a lot of things I've saved, like recipes or tips and hacks on like things to do around the house or crochet stuff. I'll spend a little bit more time in Pinterest, probably 3 or 4 minutes if I'm looking for an idea. But if I'm really going to, let's say I was watching a video on YouTube that was 30 minutes with a new pattern that I'm trying to pick up. That's not scrolling. That's actually utilizing it for something. I'm talking about that endless, mindless sort of just scrolling, because your mind, right, is going to absorb stuff, which is also why you don't grab your phone before you go to bed. Well, when you wake up in the middle of the night, but you also don't want to be on it right before you go to bed. Now, you might see me on my Insta stories or whatever, like, oh, I'm doing this, and I just put it away. Like, I'm not sitting there scrolling. But it's important, because what happens is your brain is still getting stimuli, right? So even if you're like, oh my God, that was so funny, or look at that dance video, and you're like, oh, I want to learn that dance. And you're laying there and you're going, okay, I can do this, and then I'm dancing. Okay, that's great. That's kind of like the fun stuff. But what about the stuff that isn't so fun? What about the stuff that when you are in let's say a negative headspace, you're going to spotlight that in your mind. So everything that you do, you're going to look for the negative. You're going to purposefully find it. That's why people doom scroll, like on social media. And you're wondering, okay, most of you know what doom scrolling is, but let's say you don't know what doom scrolling is. It's where you're actually looking for the negative. It's where you know there's a controversial post and you're going to see the comments. You're going to deep dive into the comments. If you're just like, oh my God, that's so funny. But if you're like getting triggered by it, you're doing that to your own self. You're creating your own suffering. You see this a lot when it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, when it comes to various things. If somebody has a different mindset than you, and you're not in a headspace, in an emotionally mature headspace, you haven't dealt with your stuff, it's going to be problematic, because then you're going to sit there and now you get all heated. You know, you ever watch something and you just like get heated, or you're okay. So your mind starts to get focused on that. It starts to spotlight into that area. So that's why you want to be careful. Now, listen, you can't control the world, right? You can't just be in like, oh, it's not Pollyanna, right? It's not like everything is sunshine and roses all the time. But within your power, you got to allow yourself to protect your peace at all costs, because your mind will start to focus more on the positive and the happy and the joy when you start to feed it more of that. And that's with the people around you. That's with the things that you absorb, right? Now, I watch a ridiculous amount of true crime because it's still a little kind of bit a part of what I do, but it's not negative to me. You may watch true crime and get triggered and you might go, oh my God, I can't. That's fine. But for me, it's not. So you have to know within yourself and go, well, what troubles me, and then be aware of it. This doesn't mean ignore the things that trigger you. You got to face your triggers. But you want to not sit there and just focus on those things. You want to give your mind a mental reframe, right? That's why if you go through the what if negative, you got to go through the what if positive. That's it. What if negative it all day long, but you better what if positive it. You're going to do it one way, you got to do it the other way, right? So just remember, your mind starts to believe what you feed it. Okay, so think of everything in your life as a program. Everything. You've been born with a program, and your life today is a program. Everybody's life becomes programs. The beautiful thing about programs are you can rewrite them. You have the capability to rewrite them, right? Which is why you get out of that victim space in your head space, or that negative space and the victim space, and you start to pivot it. But you got to give it some, and that's why the gratitude is the key, the first thing in the morning. Right? So instead of getting up and starting to complain and starting to be negative and start to be, oh my God, dreadful and all, okay, no, we're not doing that. You know my mantra, and feel free, take the mantra, use the mantra, steal it, use it, do anything you want to with it. But my main mantra before I even get out of bed is, I am capable of handling anything the day sends my way, and I only ever have today. And then I seal it with another breath. And if you have to remind yourself that several times a day, then remind yourself that several times a day. You're capable. You have survived 100% of your bad days. I didn't say they're great. I didn't say they're fun, but you're here. So start to encourage your brain. Stop saying I'll never have. Stop these big words. I always and never, always and never, always and no. Start looking for the solutions. It's easier to find solutions to things that are within your control. Not everything is, but the things that are within your control, you start to find the solutions when you stop focusing on the problem, right? If you focus on the, oh my God, why is this happening? Why me? Why is this happening to me? What am I going to do? It's fine. Feel it. Got to feel it to heal it. Can't run from it, right? Valid. Don't live there. Don't put things off. Don't procrastinate a situation because you're still trying to figure out the why. You're here now. Time is not coming back to you. Time is not your friend. Time is not your friend. Okay? You don't always have time on your side because time isn't really in existence anyway. So when you start to turn and you start to say, okay, I understand it. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to process it. I don't like it. I'm going to allow myself to feel it. But now what are the solutions that I can find? Versus your mind seeing it just in the negative, then suddenly you'll notice, you'll start to watch things that promote what that negativity, right? You'll see other people and you'll be like, yeah, I know how that feels, right? Because in your mind, you think that it's making you feel better. You're looking for this thing to be like, look, they understand me. Okay, great. So now we have a whole bunch of people who aren't doing anything. So you can't, and I've been there. I've been on that side of it. Trust me, I've been on that side of it. But until you're ready to do the pivot, stop waiting for everybody else. Stop trying to encourage yourself to be like, oh, I'm so valid based on the fact that I'm so negative. Well, you're going to find that because what you see and what you want to see is what you're going to find. All right. So I want you to start asking yourself right now. Okay. So really ask yourself this, a little call to action here. I want you to ask yourself, what areas are enhancing the negative things, thoughts, feelings, whatever, that I'm trying to process and I want to get on the other side of it? What things am I doing to encourage the negativity, right? Ask yourself that. That's only something you can do because it's probably definitely going to be some mindless scrolling. That's within your control. Okay, stop avoiding yourself. What you avoid does not mean that all of a sudden it just goes away. Just makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. Not dealing with your issue becomes a bigger problem by not dealing with it. All right. But ask yourself, what can I do to start looking at it from a gratitude space and from a place of positivity? And what steps, where can I look for the resources to change whatever it is that I'm processing, to help me process it, change it, and go forward in a positive direction? That is all in your control. So every time you think that you're not in control, you're in control of far more. But just remember, if you bite into a lemon, if I bite into a lemon and you go, ugh, right? Just remember, visual, your brain absorbs so much more than you even know.